Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Change of Shift podcast. I am your host, Sean, with my amazing co-host, Emily.
Thank you, Sean. How are you this evening, sir?
I'm well. How about yourself?
I am doing very well. Hey, we've got a ton of announcements for this podcast.
Sure do. First announcement is we're apologizing ahead of time if the internet decides to go kapooey, because we both have been having internet connection problems. For those of you who are catching this post-show, who are catching this as a recording, we do record our shows using the Blab IM platform. So we do a lot of things in real time. So we will do our best to try and narrate everything we're doing. But if there is something that doesn't sound right or you don't understand, it's probably because we see something that you can't see. So that's the disclaimer.
Well, in the beauty, Blab announced a whole bunch of changes this week. Apparently, with our recordings, you'll be able to see if you watch the video version of our podcast, which is also on our website, you'll be able to see all of the comment feeds and the Twitter feeds while we're actually doing the podcast. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, so when we finally get it set up, you can visit our website and be able to view this in real time, live streaming on our website. You don't even have to come to the Blab website anymore. You can do this right from our website. That's the next step. So baby steps. Since we're talking about steps, let's announce it now because I'm super proud of it. Is that we are officially on iTunes. Woohoo! 12 episodes in, and we're officially on iTunes. You can find us on the Change of Shift podcast. You'll see my name. You'll see Emily's name. You'll see our description. And we have our first 12 episodes already on there. That was a chore, let me tell you.
And I am very impressed you got it done. That was
got it all done. We are on iTunes. We now are syndicated on SoundCloud. We are on Spreaker. I'm still waiting for Stitcher to get back to us because it takes a couple days. But as of now, we are a full-fledged producing podcast. A little scary. So,
and the business cards will be here this week.
Yeah. Like every episode, we like to recap the previous episode. Em, why don't you tell us about last episode and our last guest?
Oh my gosh. Our last guest was Renee.
I don't even have it on the show notes. So
I do. I saw it. I just wanted to make sure I got her name right. I knew her first name was Renee. So Renee Thompson, who is an expert on nurse bullying, she went through, apparently she is an international speaker. She was headed out the next day after we got done with our podcast, getting on a plane and headed to New Jersey. So speaking internationally, on top of all of her experiences that she's had as a nurse, she's still a bedside nurse. But she had great advice about what to do with lateral bullying and just fabulous advice on how to approach things, how to proactively protect yourself. Great episode. And it hit home really hard for me, which I didn't expect it to. So yeah, it was so worth it.
Yes, it was. She was the kind of guest that we probably could have kept on the show for hours.
Oh my gosh, yes.
She was very, very informative. And what I really loved about her was her passion for our profession. She has been a nurse for over 25 years, and she's gone through a series of jobs in varying positions, in varying roles, in varying...
I will finish that sentence for him because he locked out again. So yeah, Renee has had jobs from everywhere from, she was a stroke coordinator to working ICU, et cetera. So just a plethora of experience to draw from. One of her quotes that she said during the podcast, she said, "Silence is not golden, it is agreement." And she was saying that in relation to continued bullying and how certain circumstances lead to people not wanting to confront it and looking at it in a different way. So silence is not golden, it is agreement. And I've really taken that to heart this past week or week and a half. So So on we go. I'm going to go off the show notes that Sean wrote because we are very prepared. So hopefully Sean will pop back in here in a second. So Denise is our guest tonight. Denise is an ICU registered nurse, correct?
Yep.
A former podcaster, which we'll go into a little bit about. And I'm going to read from your bio on Twitter. It says, I'm an ICU RN, a former podcaster. I love baking cheese, thus the handle, which Sean and I both love, by the way. Cats, sarcasm, reading, World of Warcraft. Yes.
Yep.
Nice. Dance, movies, and geeking out. So tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Let's see. 35, married, have 3 cats. My cats are part of what helped me end up being a nurse, which I'll tell you about in a little bit because it's a bit of a weird story. I met my husband when we were working at a video game store. So
nice.
That means we probably have like 400 or 500 video games. It's kind of crazy. Have been playing World of Warcraft for 10 years come January. So the amount of time I've spent on that is kind of scary, but that's okay. It's a really good stress reliever. I grew up with my mom being a cake decorator. So she does cakes and I do cupcakes. So I make all sorts of fancy ones. This upcoming weekend, I'm going to be making butterbeer cupcakes, like from Harry Potter.
Oh, nice.
And I make them all from scratch. So I don't use mixes or anything. And, it's going to be so good. There's like cream soda in the cake itself and then butterscotch ganache. And I mean,
my word.
It's going to be amazing. I have a serious love for dance movies because I used to be a dancer. I was on dance teams ever since I was like, I don't know, 3rd or 4th grade, twirled baton and did dance, and have been obsessed with So You Think You Can Dance since it started on season 1.
Did you see the, I didn't see it last night, but did you see the clips of Bindi?
No, I didn't. Last night it was football night. So,
well,
yeah, that was Monday. It doesn't feel like a Tuesday today. Whoa, you have a different background.
Mm-hmm. I have resorted to mobile. Okay. I am on my phone.
Oh, no.
Mm-hmm. That's what you get, my phone.
Hello,
Absolutely
data
horrible.
plan.
Yeah, no kidding.
So Denise was just telling us about herself, and we were talking about she's very involved with dance throughout her life. So loves dance movies. So, we had to delve a little bit with Dancing with the Stars last night, which she didn't see. So
no, I've never actually watched that show. I've always been a So You Think You Can Dance purist.
Like the other one.
Yeah.
Not keeping them straight. My bad.
Well, that one is, Dancing with the Stars has like professionals and then celebrities. And So You Think You Could Dance is all people that want to be professional dancers.
Okay.
So they're like crazy talented. I mean, not to say that other people aren't, but like this is like what they want to do for real. And
the reason why I brought up the episode last night is because they did clips from different movies.
I heard that they did something with Dirty Dancing, which is fantastic.
It's worth looking up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do that definitely. Let's see, but I like to, anytime there's a music video with dancing, I'm like, oh, I wonder if there's anybody from So You Think You Can Dance on there, because like I have a problem. But yeah, like Nick, you mama said, there are some people there on Dancing with the Stars from So You Think You Can Dance. And like I follow a bunch of them on Twitter and Instagram and everything. So
the internet's an amazing thing, isn't it?
It really is.
When it works.
That was such a good side eye too.
Sorry.
Oh, I
feeling
get him.
a little salty right now. So little salty right now.
You missed hearing about the cupcakes I'm going to bake this upcoming weekend.
No, you know what? The minute that the internet went down, I picked up my phone and hurried up and connected. Okay. So I was listening, and then I thought I popped on, but then it popped off again. So I just said, screw it. We're just going to stay on the phone because this is the most reliable right now. My mobile plan's way more reliable than my internet right now.
Do you live in a
I'm
forest somewhere?
No, so this is a new problem. So
Okay.
we've hosted how many shows, and this was never a problem until the last two shows.
Oh
I'm not
no.
exactly sure why. So we'll figure it out anyway. So
That's
needless
kind of
to say,
crazy.
Emily, did you formally introduce our guest?
We talked about her bio.
Okay.
And
so I'm playing catch up now.
Yep. Nope. Went straight
So we
from the
talked
show
about
notes.
her being did we talk about her awesome Twitter handle?
A little bit. I was waiting for you to go into detail on that one.
So we'll get to that in a minute, but so did you read off? You already read off her bio then?
I did.
Okay. All right. So here's my take is what I thought was interesting is that, how long have you been a nurse, Denise?
Since 2011.
Rock on. Love it. So I was going back and looking at your tweets and going back and looking at your Instagram posts and I saw an Instagram. Yes. So first of all, I thought it was funny that Denise had warned me that we may see a cat or two in the show.
Yes, there's one sitting behind my back right now.
And I laughed and said, don't worry about that because we have cats and dogs that show up on our show all the time. So we don't have to worry about that. The other thing was I loved the growth that you have shown on your Instagram as well as Twitter. So you went from the shy, oh my God, what do I do, ICU nurse, to being the no holds barred, let me show you how I do my job kind of nurse. And it's been really awesome to see. So I will be honest.
When I was a brand new grad, I was the new grad that cried every day for the first 3 months.
Yeah.
Like, no joke.
Was it just the new position and the responsibilities of being in the ICU that were super stressful, or did you have other situations?
My first year, I did renal med surge, and it was especially hard because that's not what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So it was like, yay, you became a nurse, but then it's like that's not what I want to be doing. But when you're a new grad, you don't say no to a job. So I struggled because it wasn't what I wanted to do. And I struggled because it's just hard to take care of 5 or 6 renal patients.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
What area in the country are you, Denise?
Indiana.
When you graduated, was it difficult to find a job?
I worked in the hospital as a tech already, so I had it easier than a lot of people. But my class, there was like 60 of us, I think, that graduated. And when we started applying, there's 2 hospitals in this town, and one of them that I used to work at put up 9 openings for like 60 new grads.
Wow.
Yeah, and the other hospital in town literally only has 28 beds in the entire hospital. So that's why I work 50 miles away from where I live now, because I couldn't get into what I wanted to do. So it was very stressful being new and feeling like I didn't know what was going on, even though I did really well in school, and stressful just because I was unhappy because I knew what I wanted and I wasn't there. And I'm not a very patient person.
So was the ICU really where your final step was? Is that where you wanted to be?
Absolutely. I had some exposure to it when I worked as a student, and I worked on a cardiac step down unit that we did all the pacemakers, angioplasties, EP studies, stuff like that. And it was amazing. I loved that floor to itty bitty pieces. And you were cross-trained to work in the CCU also. And one day they forgot to tell me that the floor was closed because it was a holiday, and I came into work and nobody was around. So I was doing all my like opening the floor stuff. And after half an hour, I was like, there's nobody here. So I went over to the CCU, and they're like, yeah, they're closed because it's July 4th, but you can work over here today if you want.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I did, and I got to watch somebody come back from open heart recovery. Like they would bypass PACU and go straight there. And I saw the vent.
It's a holiday. The PACU's not open.
No, they never went to PACU when they did open.
Yeah.
But I saw the vent. I saw like 11 channels, like 5 chest tubes. And I was just like, yes, like that needs to happen.
Nurse after my own heart.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's fun to listen to somebody else who's had that nursing aha moment. I think most of us have.
Yeah.
I love it.
Some of us sooner than others, but
I got
that you had it so soon.
I got to watch the nurses like be in complete like OCD in charge of everything, and I was like, these are my people. And they,
What we call it internet high five.
My people. I love it.
And they just, after I finished my internship that summer, they didn't have any openings on that floor. So I took a med surg job so that I could stay in the hospital system. So I got my job offer 4 months before I graduated. And, you know, you're definitely not going to say no then. But I started making my exit med surg, enter ICU plan about 6 months in. So, I mean, it was a written out plan and everything. And I got it to within about a month of the schedule that I hoped for.
So nice. What kind of things, and I'm going to kind of pick your brain a little bit about it, because when Sean and I graduated, because we graduated at similar times, I mean, you could throw a rock and you could get 5 jobs. You know, it was pretty much a sure thing. And then I was on Reddit at one point reading about people who were having a horrible time. I mean, they were moving 4, 5, 6 states away to try to get a job as a nurse. So here we're being inundated with all this information about the nursing shortage, but all of a sudden I'm reading about all these people who couldn't get jobs. So if you're okay with it, I want to pick your brain a little bit about how it sounds like you did all the right things to get to where you wanted to be. What kind of things were on that list, or what was your plan like to get there?
Oh, of my move to ICU plan?
Correct.
You had to be 6 months in before you could start applying to transfer. And right before I took my licensing exam, I signed up for the telemetry monitoring course that I would have needed if I could have stayed on the floor that I interned on. And I took that. It was smart girl. 16 hours, and I took it unpaid just so that I could go and do it. And then I begged my director to let me do ACLS, which med-surg nurses weren't allowed to do. But I begged and begged and begged, and she said, fine.
What do you mean weren't allowed to do? Like,
yeah, no kidding. That seems crazy to me.
They didn't think that it was like a useful thing, like cost effective. They didn't think it was very cost effective for all the med.
So they didn't want to pay for it.
Right. And I even offered to take it unpaid, and she said, okay. And then she's like, oh, fine, you can get paid for it. And when
God forbid there be a motivated nurse.
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking.
I mean, I was seriously the person that spent 8 hours studying before I even went to ACLS class, had like 20 some pages of notes.
The very first time I took ACLS, I studied it like it was boards.
Yeah. And, you know, I had seen a few codes when I was an intern on the cardiac floors, but not in med-surg at that point. So I was like, I haven't seen this stuff. You know, I really need to know so I don't embarrass myself when I go in. And I mean, I did fine, but it's doing ACLS as a med-surg nurse. You obviously don't have the same experience as doing it as an ICU nurse because you haven't seen that kind of stuff. And then I think it was the week after I passed ACLS, there was actually a code on my unit, and I was like, oh my God, I know what to do to help. And there was a student there, and I could just run and get stuff since I wasn't like on the code team, but I got to stand back and explain stuff to her of what was going on, which was pretty cool. And
awesome.
Yeah.
It was flipped from student to teacher very quickly
in the span of like a week.
That's incredible.
Yeah, I think
absolutely amazing.
The first code that I'd seen as a nurse was when I was off of orientation for like 2 weeks, and med-surg orientation is only 6 weeks long, and I floated, so I was on a floor I didn't even work on, and I got to run with the crash cart down there, and I was that was 8:30 at night. I was pumped until 10 o'clock the next morning. I was like in the break room texting my husband. I was like, I feel like a TV show nurse. Like, this is so amazing. So,
have you thought about flight nursing at all?
A little bit, yeah. There's one of my former coworkers left and became a flight nurse, I think about 2 years ago, and he loves it. Loves it, loves it, loves it.
Yeah, we should talk.
So
that whole.
So I want to get into some of these. I want to get into.
People?
No. I explored it as well. It just wasn't for me. It wasn't for me at the time of my life, and I found a job that I absolutely love. So I think even if it was given to me on a silver platter right now, I probably wouldn't take flight nursing because I absolutely love my job. So
I mean, it does sound pretty awesome, the stuff that he was telling us that he gets to do.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty cool.
So I get to do everything that they do. They just do it in a box.
Yeah.
And up in the air. So, yeah. So
I'm a little claustrophobic. I don't know how well that would work.
When you said these are my people, that's the first thing I thought of, because it's very, to be good at transport nursing, you need to be completely anal retentive. You have to be that self-motivated, and so few people are. So it's, all of those things are very much what we look for when we're looking for a new flight nurse. So,
by the way, sidebar, my internet has gone out twice. I'm watching my router just blink in and out the whole time. So,
wow.
Going mobile was the right decision here. So, I want to swing back around. So we have a couple questions that we have for you, but I want to preface these questions with a couple quotes that I got from Twitter. So.
He does his research. He didn't warn you, did he?
Yeah. So here's the first one. When I said that you went from the nervous new nurse to being the aggressive, get out of my way, let me show you how to do my job nurse, is that I don't know how long ago this was, and unfortunately, since I'm on my phone, I can't post it. So maybe my co-host will be nice enough to post it. But the tweet update says, my mega code leader told us that in his experience, ICU nurses don't interpret the actual rhythm, only say if it's good or bad. Oh,
that
hell
was
no.
last week.
Yeah. So
that was last
when
week.
I read that one, I thought to myself, she's one of my people.
Yeah, he was like, they just say if it's good or if it's bad, and he's like, they don't ever tell you what the rhythm is. So I was like, well, that's Mobit's 2 right there. And, I mean, like, I love it. Yeah,
I love the chip. She's got a chip on her shoulder, just revisiting the memory. She's got a chip on her shoulder, which is awesome. Yeah.
Well,
the other one from Twitter, which is even more entertaining for me, is that the tweet update was, so the patient shit in their trash can overnight. Yep. This is how report this morning started. Hashtag nurse problem.
Yeah, that was about 2 weeks ago. This patient was not allowed to get out of bed and completely alert and oriented and didn't want to use the bedpan. So the night nurse was like, well, we got to figure something out. So watch out, Penny. So he had his family help him hang his butt off the side and poop in the trash can.
Wow. Yeah. Unfortunately, I know that I have had similar experiences taking care of patients. So it is not an isolated event. I could tell you some nasty stories.
Well, see, I bring home these stories and then I tell my husband so he can tell his work people, because sometimes I feel like maybe they don't believe him, and it's quite the entertaining subject at his work lunch tables when they get to hear my stories.
No, I don't. Maybe you didn't talk about it, but what's your husband's employ?
He works at a medical device company, and he does 3D product visualization. So they make a lot of stents and catheters and stuff like that doesn't photograph very well. So what he does is he uses the same kind of programs that you would create video games with, and he makes 3D product models for videos and animations and like education, cool. Stuff like that.
Yeah, like Emily and I are his job. Like, oh, that would be cool.
Yeah, he's cool. The only person that does that job for his whole company worldwide.
Wow. Yeah. That is an awesome job.
So I get to play with all these fun devices. So like we have an IVC filter just like hanging out in our computer room, and I mean, it's cool. It's really awesome. Neat. So
we're going to roll into some of these questions here. Oh, I'll bet. Wow. So you already talked a little bit about yourself. So why don't we talk about why you chose to become a nurse?
Well, it's a little bit of a funny story that I alluded to while you were having internet problems. If I hadn't gotten my first cat, I may not have ended up being a nurse. I adopted my first cat in 2003, and she got a cold, and I'd never had a cat before, so I rushed her to the vet because I thought she was dying, obviously. And they're like, "It's a cold, chill out." And I had already graduated with a bachelor's degree in Spanish and no way to really like make money with that. So I was selling eyeglasses, and I thought maybe I should go work at a vet. That seems interesting. So I did that, and I became a on-the-job trained veterinary assistant, and I helped with surgeries. I helped with anesthesia. I did dental cleanings. I did med calculations, x-rays. I mean, all sorts of stuff. And then in 2006, both my grandparents got sick. So I went to go help take care of them for a little while and thought maybe I should go be a people nurse instead of a cat nurse.
People nurse. Yeah. I love it.
And people usually bite less, but not always. So yeah, if it hadn't been for her, I may never have ever thought about it. So
wow.
She's not in the room. She's hiding over there.
I was just going to say, do you still have the same cat?
I do. Yep. She will be, she will be 13 next year. And she came from the shelter that I still volunteer at. So
nice.
She like literally changed my life.
My wife would love to meet you. My wife is also a nurse, but my wife if she was not married to me, she'd be the old cat lady.
Well,
she would probably
we're the
possess
cat people.
30 cats.
We have 3 of them.
cats if she could. Yep. Oh yeah, she would. I have to keep saying no.
Yeah, her name is Lennon, named for John Lennon.
Oh, nice.
So she's pretty special. She's earned her spot as cantankerous old lady. Now that there's 2 younger ones, the younger 2 can just beat up on each other and leave her alone.
Nice. All right, so we talked a little bit about your nursing. Why you got into nursing? Tell me what it takes. So you've been a nurse for, are we talking 4 years now?
Yeah,
on the 5th
4
year
years and a little bit.
Okay, so 4 years into it, how do you keep the passion for our profession?
The fact that I'm where I want to be in the ICU, and I get to learn different stuff every single day. I work in a MICU, so we do everything except hearts, which is kind of sad because I always wanted to do hearts. But I love my coworkers. And, if you get good coworkers, you don't want to change things because maybe you get to do hearts, but maybe then you work with horrible people. So that's still something I want to do. But I've been on this unit for 3 years now, and I still actually like the people I work with. And that means more to, to have a good work environment than to maybe like, here's the thing you wanted to do, but you hate the people, So, and
I don't know, Emily. She seems to be wise beyond her years. She's already figured out the secret to
I think
the
so
happiness
too.
in our profession.
Yep.
So
and most people,
it takes people a lot longer to figure that pearl out.
Well,
even though the job might not be 100% what you want, as long as it's up in the high 80, 90 range, and you have a good crew to work with, you don't mess with that.
Yeah, I miss my night shift crew desperately, but I had to switch to days this year because I just physically couldn't sleep anymore to save my life. So my optimum would still be to be with my night people, but my body is a daytime person. Like I have no problem getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
Like I said, my job is 50 miles away. So I have to get up at 4 and leave by about 5:15.
I had a job at one time in my career that was 70 miles one way. No. So my 12-hour shift was actually a 16 or 17-hour day.
Yeah.
At the very least. And when you do 2 or 3 back to back, it's just a blur.
Yep. Tomorrow starts 1 of 3. So on my work days, I literally only I work and I sleep and that's it.
All
I
right,
don't do anything
so
else.
that just reminded me that you said that you wanted to get to bed hopefully by 10 o'clock. So we'll try and move things along here. I
That's
do
my
want to
goal,
know.
but I'm still not that
No,
good at
no.
going to bed
Oh,
early.
no.
We respect sleep way more than most people do. Trust me.
Absolutely, we do.
We want you on the show, and we'd love to pick your brain a lot, but you need your sleep. So we have a tough enough job as it is. So when you can get the sleep, get it. What I want to talk about is, do you remember your first day as a nurse?
I don't remember
as a RN, licensed RN. Do you remember your first day?
I don't remember really the first day on the floor. I just remember it involved a lot of panicking, pretty much. Since I, again, wasn't where I wanted to be, I wasn't as motivated, and I didn't have that good of an orientation because they're like, oh, you worked here as a tech, you know it all already. And it's like, I totally don't, like I totally didn't. So
how in the world does as a tech, you might know where things are, but that's about as far as the expertise goes.
Right. So they kind of like assumed that I knew more than I did. So they didn't do as much. They were more about like let's sit back and shop for our baby online. Not that I'm bitter about that or anything.
No.
But I do a lot of precepting now, so I make it a point to make sure that my orientees have a lot better experience than I had as a new grad so that they feel more supported and it's not as stressful.
Yeah, I'm liking her more and more.
I know it.
I swear.
I know.
This is horrible.
I think eventually, Sean, we're going to have a conglomerate that we could open up our own unit.
Man.
And have it just be absolutely awesome.
So you've actually you have mentioned at least 2, if not 3 topics that we are very passionate about. And one of them is, making other nurses who are either at your level, below your level, above your level, doesn't matter, making them feel comfortable, making them making sure that the environment is non-threatening in every way. And I love that you may not remember your first day, but you remember how uncomfortable it was. You remember how nervous you were. And you take that and you allow the newer nurses that you precept to benefit from that, which is awesome. So I give you kudos for that, because there are nurses out there that do not pay it forward like that. That they do just the opposite.
Yeah,
they do just the opposite. That they would rather see somebody suffer and it's your turn to take your licks. Let's see if you can make it, kind of thing, because I had to do it, kind of thing. And you're taking a completely different approach to it, which is the correct approach, which is how our profession is going to improve. So I thank you very much for that. We thank you very much for that. So, because it's not easy. Yeah,
sometimes it's kind of hard. I started out as a mentor in nursing school, so that got me, kind of started into kind of precepting in a way. And I had done about 100 hours when I worked on night shift, but since I came to days this year, I've done another 500 hours this year already.
Wow.
Yeah. And I calculated that out, and that's, I think, like 13 weeks straight of having an orientee with me, because our orientation is about 4 months long. And this summer, I had somebody on their very first day as a nurse ever with me. And, when our unit's set up, so you start your orientation on days and then you move to nights later if you're nights. And on nights, when I would get people, obviously they would be pretty far along already. So I'd never had someone on their first day. And we had to back up to like, this is how you prime tubing. And I was like, whoa, okay, we're going to be late on everything today. But at the end of the day, she was like, I know it's the first day, but I'm so excited that I even just did that today. And last week was her first week on her own. So I was like, I'm so proud of you. So
well,
I think everybody should have to do that.
It is. Yeah, it is.
And how gratifying to have somebody give you that type of feedback, especially when you've experienced just the opposite. We don't get that kind of feedback, I think, often enough.
Yeah, I had my first capstone student this summer, and now she's orienting with me as my coworker. So that's really exciting, and it kind of puts her ahead of the
you're
game.
also in charge of recruitment, huh?
Yes. Yeah, I helped her get her job. And then I'm taking another capstone student this fall, starting like early November.
So Denise,
that's awesome.
You've talked about wanting to get into the ICU and having that career path to do that, and you're talking about studying for your CCRN, which we can have a long discussion about. Sure.
I didn't hear that part. I missed that. I must have been in. I must have been in the dark on that. So
you were in internet purgatory.
Yes.
So what kind of things are you looking at long term for your career?
At first I wanted to do CRNA, but there's no schools in the entire state, and my husband can't transfer with his job at all. So I'm like, probably have to give up on that one. And then I was thinking acute care nurse practitioner, but now the school that I wanted to go to that for doesn't have it anymore. So that made that pretty much not happen. So I'm kind of between adult and family nurse practitioner. I know family would be more versatile, but I don't really want to work with kids that much because they scare me.
Oh,
terrifying.
my dear, we need to bring you back on the show and just have an entire episode about that 2 sentences that you just said.
About how kids are
Because
scary?
Oh, well, yeah, that too. Yeah. But that you have other options. You have a lot of other options out there. So
well,
we'll have to revisit that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
That would be a fun show to have like a few people on. I feel like people who are looking into grad schools.
If you know of anyone that has these same challenges, you should let us know, because a lot of nurses are misinformed, or they don't understand the process a little bit. But if you are an ICU nurse and you want to stay in the adult world, in the ICU world, do not settle for being an FNP. It is not something that translates well for what it sounds like you're very passionate about. So I would we can have another conversation. I don't want to.
Yeah, we definitely should.
We could finish this show.
I want to get it figured out.
Topic. Yeah, but quite honestly, yeah, there are other options. You do have online options to do acute care programs. So I don't want you to close that door. Don't ever close that door just because you don't have a physical college in your area. You have options.
Yeah, so. The closest ones are about 50 miles away, up by where I work again. So I mean commuting for school too, but at least that's like a finite amount of time.
I did it. You can do it. You know what? You can commute for work. You can do it for school.
Yeah.
And talking
but boy,
to you
does
for
it rack up
40
the miles.
minutes, I would definitely be a champion for you to get into the acute care program, because you would do great things for patients.
I think I would.
In the profession.
Like it.
Yeah.
Patients in the profession, both. I mean, you have a way of looking at things and attacking things that I wish I could bottle.
Yeah, you need to move to the next step. You need to become a leader in this profession.
Well, I am pretty involved in my unit. I'm the secretary of our unit council, and I've done our clinical ladder. I do a lot of precepting. I just did the yellow belt class and stuff. So I try to do as much as I can without going into management, because I don't want to do management. I don't want to do it.
You and me both.
I don't want to do it.
That's why I became a nurse practitioner.
Yeah.
Well, and I think that's the beauty of where you're sitting right now in your career. You've got all those other bits and pieces that are making a more well-rounded nurse. You're in leadership positions, whether they're formal or informal, and it sounds like you have both. You have the drive and the passion for the clinical skills. It's just being able to figure out how to package all those up and is the next step going to be somewhere else?
I think we lost Emily.
Quite possibly.
Yeah,
Okay.
You're breaking up, Em. You're breaking up. So
we'll make silly faces at you.
You froze there for a second.
Oh, did I have a silly face?
It's absolutely entertaining that our guest is the only one. Our guest is the only one that has reliable internet right now.
Shh, don't let it hear you.
Yeah, no, don't let the internet trolls hear that.
Or let them see.
No, we both, I think, are on the same page when it comes to you moving forward in your career. you definitely need to move on to an advanced practice role in some way.
Yeah,
And
that's
whether
been my
it be
goal ever since
in education
before starting
or
nursing
working
school.
towards, the bedside to be, masters or DNP, you definitely need to be in that spot, because it sounds like you were meant for that the moment you got in the ICU. The moment you got in the ICU. So it's a breath of fresh air. Absolutely.
It is. It is.
Yeah, my best friend works night shift on the same unit, and she's trying to figure out the grad school thing also. So we're like, maybe we can go to grad school together. We can do all our group projects together.
If you have time after this recording is over, after this show's over, we can talk briefly for a couple minutes. I know we already talked about you going to bed, but if you don't have time now, you know what? Emily and I would be happy to schedule a separate blab session that doesn't even need to be recorded, and we can just talk about your options.
Okay, yeah, we should definitely do that.
And I want to throw this out there to everybody who's listening to the podcast as well. Sean and I are definitely not the experts at anything, but one of the things that we both feel very strongly about.
Oh, my poor co-host.
Is being that
she froze
again.
You froze again. I'm sorry. But what you were saying is that being an yep, look at that. She dropped off completely there. So yeah, so our goal, not only with this website and this podcast interview and gather information and to have the difficult discussions, but it's also to be advocates for others in our profession. And you're one of those individuals that we want to be an advocate for, that you have an interest in it. And you seem to be hitting a couple roadblocks. We have a couple other viewers and fans that are having similar issues at different levels, and we're also trying to help them achieve their goals, because it absolutely is not acceptable to just say that, I don't have a college near me, so I guess I don't get to do that. That's not acceptable. So we'll figure something out for you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to figure something out, but I think, I don't know, I got to probably do some shadowing and stuff too to narrow it down.
Absolutely. I would absolutely shadow whoever you're interested in, FNP, adult, acute care.
We have some nurse practitioners on my unit also. And I think that
if you like,
one of them's acute care, one of them's family.
Yeah, so I can speak from acute care. If you like the bells and whistles and you like seeing all the cool bedside procedures, then acute care is where you want to be, because I get to do all that cool stuff. So
I already know how to intubate a cat.
Well, there you go. You're good. You're good.
For the NICU then.
Nope.
So wait a minute.
Scary.
Sidebar. Now I don't know. Maybe you should know. Maybe you'll know this, Denise. I don't know. But let Emily tell you what her cat's name is. As she freezes on me.
It's because you said
horrible.
Did I freeze?
Yeah. So her.
Yeah. What's your cat's name?
Okay, my cat's name is Bougie.
Do you know what a bougie is?
That we've only had to use it once, and it wasn't my patient, so I know that it's something that hangs on the crash cart and it's really long. Is it something for a difficult intubation?
Good girl, awesome.
Because I didn't get to see it; I just heard about it.
Yeah, so I believe it was used pre-hospital first, and now they use it intra-hospital as well. They stole it from the paramedicine world.
Actually.
Yeah, so the intra-hospital stole it from the paramedicine world, and it's a way of intubating someone who has a difficult airway. So you can see what you're needing to get to, but you can't get to it because of anatomy or something else. So you basically pass that tube, that little tiny straw that is literally 3.5 feet long. You pass that straw down their airway, and then you feed the ET tube over the tube. Over that.
So it's kind of like a guide wire.
Essentially, it's the same thing.
Same concept. So
and the interesting part about a bougie too is that the tip of it, and this is going to sound really bad, but the tip of it is up like this, and you run that down. You can feel the tracheal rings as you pop through it. So
so you'll know if you're in or not.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
So you put it in, and you'll hear it. You'll feel it on your fingers, and you actually can hear it sometimes going. Oh,
That's pretty cool. Yeah, my cats don't.
So we digress.
They have fun.
Usual. That's all we ever do is digress. So I want you to tell me briefly about the C25K. I know what it's about, but maybe our listeners don't know.
That is Couch to 5K, which has pretty much taken over my life about the last 6 weeks or so. The first time I ever attempted it, it's a running program to get you to be able to run a 5K. And I attempted it in 2009 when I was getting ready for nursing school, because I was like, nurses work 12-hour shifts and I work a desk job, so I better get some stamina. So I did.
I need to train to be a nurse.
Seriously, I also trained myself to drink coffee because nurses drink coffee, because I did not grow up drinking coffee. So,
that's great.
I mean, like, that's the level of, because I love planning.
That is dedication right there. That is, talk about being dedicated to her craft.
Yeah.
Holy moly.
I love planning. Like, it's one of my hobbies. So I didn't finish then because nursing school started. And then I've like tried it other times and I've just never made it. And I just finished week 5 yesterday, and that is where you run for 20 minutes straight, which I never in a million years thought I could do. Because I remember struggling with just running for 90 seconds. And when I got to week 3, it was like run for 3 minutes, and I had to slow down the treadmill, and I was like, I failed. And one of my friends who runs, she's like, that's not failing. If you're running outside, then you can slow down anytime. Right. And I was like, fair point. So now I've gone to running outside and got over my fear of like being abducted and killed. So
you seriously need to meet my wife. You really do. You sound just like her.
So I've roped my best friend into it also. I was like, you're going to do this with me. And yeah, I ran for 20 minutes straight yesterday for the first time. And I started crying when I got done because I never thought I'd be able to do it. And we signed up for a 5K that's in December. So this time, like, I'm determined. Graduating's gonna happen. And I eventually want to do the Disney Princess Half Marathon with my mom and my sister, because they've always wanted to do that. They ran a half marathon a few years ago when neither of them had ever been runners. And they told me about that one, and I was like, I get to dress like Ariel, sold. So like, my mom's already planning out the costume, everything. Mm-hmm. So I
swear, every guest we have, I want to meet in person. I swear. It's absolutely just amazing.
You weren't at NTI in 2014, were you?
No, I was supposed to go and I had to cancel.
Oh. I got to go, and it was fantastic. I'm trying to talk my best friend.
I was so pissed off because there were so many people there from Twitter that I talked to that were there.
I got to meet Nurse Ira before she was like non-anonymous.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
So it's still jaded about that one.
Yeah. I was supposed to go this year, and I did our clinical ladder so I could use the bonus towards it and everything, and then we had to pay taxes for the first time instead of get a refund. So then I didn't get to go to San Diego because I had to like be a responsible adult and crap like that.
I am not at our at the Air Medical Transport Conference right now for a very similar reason. And I was watching, the TV was on, and they actually did a clip on Inside Edition or one of those TV shows from the floor of Expo, because it's in Long Beach. I'm a flight nurse. They were talking about Lamar Odom, and there were helicopters.
Long Beach is so pretty.
I know. I used to live there. It's painful that I am not there right now.
Yeah. My parents were born and raised in Los Angeles.
Nice.
So
wow.
I love California.
Well, hey, you know what? Not that either one of you care, but I'll be in Las Vegas very shortly.
That's pretty fun. My mom used to live about 2 hours south of there.
And I unfortunately have to arrive a day early and spend the whole day doing whatever I want.
That sounds like utter torture. I don't know how you're gonna make it.
Seeing as I'm currently residing in 45-degree weather. So
yeah, where do you live?
I am in Western Pennsylvania. I'm on Lake Erie. Oh. So yeah.
Emily, did I hear you say you're in Michigan on another show or something? Okay. Yeah, I watched the show with Lisa, and I thought I remembered you saying Michigan. So at least I'm in the warmest part. It was like 70 degrees today.
Wait, a heat wave. It was 61.
Well, 61. On Saturday when I had to run outside, it was 40 degrees.
Oh, that's dedication.
Well, I didn't have winter type stuff yet, so I had to run outside in like my shorts and like my long running compression socks, and I was like, I am freezing to death, but I'm doing this.
So we've talked about everything else. I think I would love to talk more about half of the topics we've already covered, but I want to finish the show with a fun fact that we found out through Twitter. I don't know, a couple weeks ago when we were talking about our show and our podcast, and one thing led to another. And you mentioned a very interesting fun fact about yourself, and I'm going to let you tell everyone else what I think is absolutely super cool about your past.
I used to do a Lost podcast with one of my good friends during seasons 5 and 6, so 2008 to 2010. And did you guys ever watch Lost?
I did
not. No, but I mean, I saw.
I think that was about the time we were both in school.
I was in school too.
8 to 10. What was I doing?
Maybe not.
I don't know.
I think it was great.
Well, I mean, that was only the final 2 seasons.
I was definitely in school, but at what point I could have watched it. I really could have. But
it's on Netflix, and you need to watch it. But there was a huge podcasting community. There was actually like one ginormous podcasting feed called the Lost Podcasting Network, where all the feeds would go into that, and it would be updated basically constantly because there were so many people that did shows about it. And her and I would watch the episode, and then we go to her house the next day and record on Audible. So just a laptop and like a little teeny tiny microphone. And then we do about 20 minutes of editing and throw it up online. And we did that for seasons 5 and 6, which are the final 2 seasons. And I think we did somewhere between 50 and 70 episodes.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long was each episode?
Probably 30 minutes to an hour.
Wow. Now that, you know what, that respect, because that takes dedication.
That during nursing school and working 2 jobs.
That post-production alone, that had now. So how many shows a week were you doing? Just one a week?
The max we would do was 2, and that would be like if we were guesting on somebody else's show. Ours was pre-recorded, but sometimes we would go on live shows right after the episode and just kind of talk as a big group. There was one guy that he did his own show, and then he did, in a weird way, almost like Mad Libs, but with voice acting. So we did like some voice acting for his Mad Libs Lost podcast. We did one video to say goodbye. We did one all in Spanish because we both had Spanish degree. And that was a lot harder to do in a whole nother language. And we actually took part in being filmed for a documentary about the Lost podcasting community. So we were like really big nerds, but it was so much fun. That's actually why I signed up for Twitter back in 2009, was to help promote our show.
Oh, so, wow.
Some of our shows, we got up to like 3,000 downloads.
Wow.
Wow. We haven't gotten there yet. Not even close.
Have you thought about?
And again, we've only been on iTunes one day, so.
Yeah, I think ours is still on iTunes. I know the webpage is still up. I'll link it in the chat just real quick.
Oh yeah, you have to. That's awesome.
I think at the top there's the video from 2010, which is pretty funny.
Have you thought about going back to podcasting at all?
I've thought about it. I just don't really have anyone to podcast with so much, or like a topic in mind. I would call into other people's podcasts about some TV shows here and there, but now I just mostly listen to podcasts while I'm driving. because I used to have a desk job where I could listen to podcasts like 40 hours a week. So,
wow.
yeah, I scanned medical records when I was in nursing school. So I sat at a desk and I put papers through a scanner. And then I
Well, you know, you have a 50-mile commute, so you can listen to podcasts again.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Now I mostly listen to stand-up comedians because that's a really nice thing after you've been taking care of patients all day is you can just like laugh the whole way home. So that's
true. Fun. Yeah. That drive home is a very important for decompressing. So
yeah, it's not enjoyable driving 50 miles, especially because I go through a lot of construction. But I find that I'm less stressed out when I get home after having that decompression than when I worked in town and had like a 7-minute drive home. I would come home and just be like all like stressed out still. So
yeah,
I told you I sound like a valley girl sometimes.
I think about that with my drive home too. So
yeah, good. I can just sit there and I can laugh and not think about it, and it's nice.
Awesome. I have a ton of other questions I'd love to ask you, but we are coming up on the hour. So we're going to finish our episode like we always finish. We have a couple rapid fire questions for you. So these are off topic, just fun, quick questions. Yes, this is a lightning round.
You guys watched Friends, right?
Yes.
Okay, good.
So these questions are first thing that comes to your mind. Don't think about it. Okay. First question. What's your favorite color?
Red. It's between red and orange right now.
Can you change? You can't change. It's always one color.
I can't.
You can't change. All right. Question 2. Oh, boy. What's your favorite movie?
Oh, my God. I know you can't see, but there is 1.5 bookcases behind me full of movies. My number one movie when I'm sick and I can just watch it and close my eyes is A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles.
Oh my!
I know it
well,
all,
here
like,
go
word for word.
The name of the cat. There you go.
Kitty number 2 is Penny Lane.
Oh wow! Yeah. All right. Sidebar. I have to make sure my wife listens to this episode. You guys are like sisters from another mother. It's ridiculous.
I was raised on Beatles and Beach Boys.
Yeah. I tell my wife she was born in the wrong decade.
That's what I say too.
Question 3. Your favorite food?
Cheese. I mean, it's in the
name. I forgot. I'm sorry. That's on all your profiles. I forgot about that. And the sharp cheddar. Sorry.
Well, that actually, it's like a twofold name because the sharp also refers to sarcastic because I love being sarcastic. And then extra sharp cheddar is my favorite kind of cheese. So, I mean, I thought really hard on that name. It took me like a day.
That's great. All right. Question 4. Clogs or traditional shoes?
I go back and forth. Mostly.
You know what? You can't. You gave me 2 colors, and now you're giving me 2 answers.
For the girl who's all into planning everything.
Yeah.
I have a shoe harem next to the front door. That's what my husband calls it. I mean, no joke. Like
not a collection,
15 pairs of shoes over there. I go back and forth between dance goes and tennis shoes. I wore dance goes every day for about 9 months, and then I got plantar fasciitis on one foot. So then I had to go back to only tennis shoes for a while, and now I flip-flop depending on which pants I'm wearing.
Yes. So our friend Dr. Mike Sevilla has pointed out that this rapid fire has turned into the non-rapid fire part of the show. That instead of coming up with the first answer out of we're contemplating 2 separate answers.
But sometimes it's hard. Especially when you talk about shoes.
So this is definitely not the lightning round in any way. The lightning round has gone. All right, final lightning round. Get it? Lightning round question here. What is your most favorite piece of nursing equipment? Tick tock, tick tock. Wow, lightning round's gone.
I mean, My stethoscope is the most useful, but on my name badge, I have a cute little zombie, so it gets to show personality.
We're gonna use stethoscope as your answer. How's
And
that?
I like
have
the
little-
zombie.
I don't think we can
I like
use.
the zombie.
I don't think we can use cute little zombie as an answer. So
Well, I mean,
you-
I
you
get lots of
turned-
comments on my little zombie.
So it's an
And-
icebreaker. You can bond with your patients.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah.
That way.
This is
See,
true.
John?
And then
So,
I have little
are you
charms
a,
on my
are you a
stethoscope
Walking
too.
Dead? Are you a Walking Dead fan?
You know, I've only seen season 1 actually, because when season 2 came out, we didn't have AMC anymore. So I'm like a Stephen King fan, started watching horror movies when I was like 5, and just plain love zombies and Halloween in general. So I have Halloween charms on my stethoscope right now too.
Nice. All right. So Emily and I are trying to get into a better habit of asking our guests at the end of our interview if you could recommend one person for us to ask onto our show. Who would you recommend for us to interview?
Katie, Nurse Eyeroll, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. I got to meet her at NTI last year, and she was so adorable and so awesome. And
I actually know Katie. So.
And I just love her to pieces. I really enjoyed meeting her. And Megan Duffy, who is, I think her name is not Ratchet.
Not Nurse Ratchet,
Yep.
yes. We
Yeah,
both
her
know her.
and Lisa, who was on your show a few weeks ago, they were what I called my internet preceptors. So they helped me like survive my first year when I hated my life.
Now, come to think about it, you have the same sort of wit that Lisa has, which is hilarious. So,
yeah,
all right.
They
so
helped me make it through my first year, definitely.
We're gonna do a couple thank yous and a couple outros, since you know what outros are. I'd like you to hang out for a little bit if you can. I definitely want to thank you for taking the time out of your busy day and coming and talking with us. Cool is that you've only been a nurse for 4 years, and you have an amazing passion for our profession. So I thank you very much for having that, because it's sadly rare. It seems that you have some lofty goals in mind for your career, and I have a feeling you're going to do that and more. So you seem to have hit the ground running the minute you started this profession. So I hope you don't stop, especially since you're doing this couch to 5 kids. Get it? Running. See what I did there, right? Okay. Yeah. So,
that sounds like something I would say.
Yeah. So sorry, had to. Em, any thank yous? Anything you want to say?
As always, thank you, Denise, for being part of this. This was awesome. And anything Sean and I can do, please let us know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think we need to throw a shout out to Drew for helping us get all that stuff syndicated.
Yes.
Again.
So I have named him my podfather. He has helped us, and he has helped me greatly in launching this podcast. I am still a newbie. We are still newbies trying to understand the back end of this process. I would love to have people so that I could just show up, talk, and be done. But we are a 2-person team, so we do it all. You'll notice that the past week we lagged behind a little bit when it came to producing content, just because we were trying to get the back end stuff taken care of. And for the most part, I believe that is done now. So as I said at the beginning of our show, we are now officially a podcast on iTunes. You can look us up, search the Change of Shift podcast, and you'll find us. If you'll do us a solid, send us a review, give us a rating, subscribe, let us know what you think about our podcast. We're going to be on Stitcher soon. We're out on our website, which is thechangeofshift.com. You can find us there. We're out on Facebook, which is The Change of Shift. We're also on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is AskTheCos, AskTheCos. And
it's
yes, good reminder. So Emily and I are slowly transitioning to start hosting these shows and these blab sessions using the Ask the Cos handle. It will be a slow transition, but it will be a transition nonetheless. We are trying our best to have the Ask the Cos handle present in all of our shows now, on top of me hosting or Emily hosting, so that eventually the host will be asked the cost. But that is going to be a process that her and I are still trying to figure out, but it will happen. Did I miss anything? We're also on Google Plus and YouTube. We're out there on SoundCloud and Spreaker. Be sure to Google us at The Changes Shift Podcast or thechangeshift.com. Thank you, everyone, for stopping in, those who stuck around for the live chat. Those of you who are listening to us post-production, whether you're watching us on YouTube, on our website eventually, or if you're subscribing to our podcast and listening to us maybe on your commute to work, like Denise will, hint, hint. Em, what do we always say?
Check your own pulse first.
Check your own pulse first. And at this point, you are going to have to stop the recording.